Assalamualaikum and very good afternoon to those who just joined us. So we will still waiting for other participants as well as our panelists. Prof. Schroeder, we are waiting for Professor Thomas Schroeder. So we will start at 3 p.m. sharp. Okay, thank you for those who have changed their name.
Rupert Mclean here. Do you have my name on my... We did it yesterday.
Yes, Prof. Rupert. Oh, yes, okay. Prof. Thomas Schroeder is already in. So, okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome again to the WoCTVET. Okay, I will start now. Just welcome to the World Congress on TVET 2020. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of University Tun Hussein on Malaysia, UTHM, I would like to thank all of you for your participating in this conference. For your information, WoCTVET 2020 is organized by the Faculty of Technical and Vocational Education, UTHM, in collaboration with Malaysia Research Institute for Vocational Education and Training, MyRevet. For your information, the objective of the conference are to bring together the international scientific experts and researchers to catalyze and advance scientific knowledge about TVET teacher education. It is also to bring together educational leaders, scientists, educators, and policymakers to promote and enhance collaborations to more effectively address regional and national responses to TVET teacher education. Besides that, it's to provide opportunity for TVET researchers, policymakers, educators, and community to discuss and develop creative solutions to unresolved challenges in research and implementation of TVET policies and programs. And finally, to increase the global awareness of the importance of TVET teacher education and to promote effective actions to mainstream TVET around the world. So ladies and gentlemen, this afternoon we will continue with one more forum session with the remarkable panelists. The title for this afternoon is TVET in Context of Industry 4.0, Labour Market Development and Skills Standards, which will moderate by Professor Dr. Ismail Abdul Rahman. We will start the session shortly. And welcome to those just joined us. Welcome all to all the panelists and also to our moderator. So I think it is time to start our forum now, which is entitled TVET in Context of Industry 4.0, Labour Market Development and Skills Standards. So before we start this session, I would like to read the biography of our honored moderator, Professor Dr. Ismail Abdul Rahman. Hi, Prof. Dr. Ismail. Prof. Dr. Ismail. Is he in? Professor Dr. Ismail?
I'm here. Can you
Okay, yes, but we can't see you really.
Oh, really?
I think, yeah, we can see that. All right, okay, this is Professor Dr. Ismail Abdul Rahman who will moderate this session. So let me tell about him a little bit. So he is actually a former UTHM Deputy Vice Chancellor in Academic and International. He is also a chairman of Bachelor of Technology Development Committee, MTON, Malaysia Technical University Network, and he has involved as a chief editor in few journals such as International Journals of Sustainable Construction Engineering and Technology, which is indexed by Scopus and Web of Science, and also Journal of Science and Mathematics Education in Southeast Asia. Besides that, he has appointed as a keynote speaker for few events and conferences. Among them are Professional Management of Universities for Putra Indonesia University, Padang, Indonesia, and also a keynote speaker for COSMED 2019 at Simo Rexham, and also for World Environment Day 2020. There are more about to tell about him, but I am afraid we have not much time to say it because we have more important agenda for today, which is the forum session. So we will closely know him once he conduct this session. Well, okay, without any delay longer, please give a round of applause to Professor Dr. Ismail Abdul Rahman to anchor the session. Please welcome.
Okay, thank you.
Off to you, Prof.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Dr. Yusmarwati Yusuf, for the first of all, I would like to thank the organizer for choosing me as the moderator for the second session of the WoCTVET 2020. So the second section will be discussing more on about the labor market development and skill standard. So we are more or less given around 45 minutes for our forum here. And just give me briefly mention about the guides that given to me regarding about this forum. So there will be a 2-round session, Q&A. I'll be asking the question to the panelists, and the panelists will try to answer the question within 5 to 6 minutes time each. So each panelist will be given one question in round 1 and one question in round 2. So if we have any extra time, we'll be given additional question. So let me introduce our panelists. We have this afternoon, we have 3 panelists. First is the Honorable Professor Dr. Thomas Schroeder from Dortmund University. I have a list of his outstanding achievement, but maybe I'm taking 1 or 2 to pick up his outstanding achievement. Like he's the director of the Institute of General Vocational Education at the Technical University of Dortmund. He's also the chief editor of the online journal of Technical Vocational Education. So I have all the list of his achievement. And the second panelist is Dato Dr. Engineer Andy Seo Kian Hao. He's the council members of the Federation Malaysia Manufacturer. Same with, I have the list of his outstanding performance or achievement, but let me read 1 or 2 of his outstanding achievement. He is the council members of the Federation of Malaysian Manufacturer, a chairman of the FFM Logistic Committee. He is also the chairman of the Malaysian National Shipper and also a director of the Malaysian Steel Institute. So that is our second honorable panelist. And the third panelist is the Honorable Professor Dr. Rupert Mclean. So he's from the RMIT University in Melbourne. Professor, among his outstanding, he's the chair professor of the international education in the Department of Policy and Administration and the director of the Center of Lifelong Learning Research and Development in the Hong Kong Institute of Education. He is also the foundation director of the UNESCO International Center for Technical, Vocational and Education in Bonn, Germany for 8 years. So without further ado, I would like to call upon the first panelist, our Honorable Professor Dr. Thomas Schroeder. Are you ready, Prof? Hello?
Yes.
Hello?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, okay, thank you. So are you ready with the questions I want to give you? Okay, the first question is about, according to the World Economic Forum, many workers will be losing jobs due to large-scale use of robots and dehumanized smart system in industry. So based on your observation and knowledge, how is the labor market in Germany so far? Is there any worker losing their job due to the new requirement related to Industrial Revolution 4.0? Or is it easier to get a job nowadays in Germany in the context of Industrial Revolution 4.0?
Yes. Yes.
So please, Rob.
Yes. Well, first of all, I thank you very much for inviting me. I'm very honored to be invited to speak here at this very important conference, and the topic of Industrial Revolution 4.0, as we know, is a topic which is based on digitization as one of the disruptive megatrends, or it's sometimes being described as a disruptive megatrend. And of course, we know that all different areas of life are now affected by digitization, and our own work would not be possible without digitization. As you see now, this conference basically is based on this new technology, and this would have been unthinkable maybe 10 years ago. What we observe now, we have a very strong research institutes on the labor market, which is excellent. It's under the Ministry of Labor. We have the Federal Institute for Vocational Education and Training, the BIBB, which is under the Ministry of Education and Research, the Federal Ministry of Education and Research. And what our researchers found out on IR, Industrial Revolution 4.0, how it affects the labor market. I think what the situation, how we observe it is, in the end, it will always be, of course, the economy. It will always be the companies who will decide on whether or not they implement and apply the technology, and this is based on cost effectiveness. And so I observe and I hear when I speak with people who are owning companies, who are producing, and Germany is very strong in a sector which is not very visible for most people. Our small and medium-sized enterprises are in many different niches, market leaders, and you've never heard about them, and I have never heard about them. It's not BMW, it's not Mercedes-Benz, it's small, tiny, highly specialized enterprises, and they do exact due diligence and make the calculation if it's increasing their efficiency or not. What we observe is at the moment. What we observe at the moment is that the labor market is probably more affected, definitely more affected at the moment by COVID-19 than by Industrial Revolution 4.0. Although we are not as hit as hard as other countries with respect to this, because we have some nice labor market instruments which protect workers and companies. And what we observe is that that there are certain professions, certain occupations, of course, which are affected, but not in a very disruptive manner. So it's not like we will change from one day to the other the way automotives or the automotive sector is functioning. So the autonomous driving won't hit the road from one day to the other. It's always a gradual process. So our labor market researcher from the Institute of Labor Market under the Ministry of Labor found out or went through all different professions or occupations, which is on the National Qualification Framework level 3 and 4, and did research on what kind of work with respect to different occupations and their standards could be substituted by robots. and so professions are affected differently. We have, for example, one professional occupation called machining mechanic, and we still have maybe 130,000 people working in this area, are working in the profession of a machining mechanic, but those numbers are stable, not increasing, which basically means that something is changing here already. But and they found out that 90% of the different fields of different activities within an occupation can be substituted or have the potential to be substituted by robots, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they will all be substituted from one day to the other. So that's a very gradual process, which probably takes 20 years or even longer. And with respect, maybe if we look back, we had a similar situation 35 years ago when numeric controlling systems had been introduced in production, and we had a similar discussion, and there was always this anxiety that many people would go into unemployment. What we observed at that time is this wasn't the case. Companies changed, the labor market had changed. Of course, additional advanced training was necessary in order to train people to operate those new machines. That worked pretty well, and we developed a different concept of initial vocational education, which is important in order to not only address the present demand of the labor market with respect to skills development, but at the same time to address educational standards and the idea of lifelong learning within the initial vocational education, which you know in Germany is a dual apprenticeship system. You have a strong dual system in Malaysia too. So basically, the idea is what is the concept behind? What is a picture of human? What do we want to educate? What is the idea behind our educational system, our TVET system? That's important. So what we observe now is it doesn't have an impact on the labor market at the moment. Things are changing gradually in a way that allows companies to be competitive on the world market. And but the changes are important, and so there are 3 different scenarios which have been identified. One scenario is a downgrade scenario, which is predicting that there are certain professions where activities which have a higher or more challenging with respect to artificial intelligence.
We can listen you.
You can't hear me?
Yeah. Okay, right. Okay, now.
Okay. So there's a downgrade scenario, basically saying that higher activities or more challenging activities will be done by artificial intelligence, and so the occupations will undergo a downgrade process. At the same time, there's another scenario which is called the upgrade scenario, which basically says our occupations need a substantial upgrade, and that's what I observe at the moment, that all occupational standards are gradually incorporating digitization and work processes which are based on digitization. And then we have a scenario where basically more challenging activities and lower activities are basically are being separated and moving into a polarized direction. So that's what we observe. In the end, the answer is I can't see at the moment, or the figures don't show that unemployment is rising due to digitization, due to industrial revolution 4.0. But the labor market will change, but not in a disruptive manner. It'll change in a very gradual manner.
Okay, thank you, Rob. So, what I can see, what I can summarize from your answer is basically when the world is moving to a digitalizations, so things have to change accordingly, according to the needs of the industrial revolutions, and the impacts of positive and negative are yet to be seen, and also the need of some reconfigure about the standards of the TVETs. These are the things are moving accordingly, especially in terms of Germany. So the shifting is not really significant, but it's moving toward the Industrial Revolution 4.0. So that will be my summary of that.
Okay. That's correct. It's a gradual process that needs to be observed, and we need to have research on this, and we need to change our occupational standards, or adapt.
Yeah.
It's rather to
Yeah.
adapt them.
So
there may be new professions as well.
It should be moving accordingly to the needs. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Rob. So we move to the second panelist, Dato Dr. Andy. Are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Thank you,
Okay.
Prof. Yeah.
So the second question is to you, sir. So from your observation and the current involvement, how far industry in Malaysia have achieved? I mean, is our industry going through Industrial Revolution 4.0? So the floor is with you, Dato.
Thank you for the question, Professor Moderator Dr. Ismail. And so thank you for inviting me to this World Conference on TVET 2020, a virtual conference organized by University of Tun Hussein, Malaysia. Now, moderator and organizer, esteemed speakers, fellow participants, good afternoon to you all. Malaysia has a strong manufacturing base as compared to other ASEAN countries, right? Now, to stay competitive, any manufacturer have no other way but to embrace smart manufacturing or production by implementing the Industry 4.0 element in their operation. The national policy on Industry 4.0, as we call it under Industry 4WORD, which was launched on the 31st of October 2018, right, is a proactive measure taken by MITI, the Ministry of International Trade, to transform our Malaysian manufacturing industry and its related services to be smarter, more systematic, and resilient. Now, Industry 4.0, as referred to as a production or manufacturing-based industry digitalization transformation, it's very much driven by technological, connected technologies. Manufacturers, as you know, need to adopt digital tools instead of their analog tools that they're working on, and also fully equipped to take their manufacturing process and the business online through the pillars of Industry 4.0. Now, through our FMM's effort via our FMM Industry 4.0 roadmap ourselves, we have been working together with the government, especially under MITI's, I mentioned, Industry Forward initiative. Our manufacturers in Malaysia are gradually realizing that the potential benefit of investing in the Industry 4.0 technology. Now, the various benefit of implementing Industry 4.0 will be, there's an increase in their flexibility of manufacturing, there's an increase in productivity, efficiency, quality, and reduced time to market. And they can also get more involved in R&D activities, and also in the meantime develop new skills and also their talents globally, right? Now, this outcome has a dual impact on the business ecosystem in Malaysia. First, more organizations adopt the new technologies as competition is intensified among the companies now for their latest technologies. Secondly, it also enables organizations to move operational efficiency, their service quality, competitiveness costs, to pursue more diversified growth strategy, improve their market positioning, and move out the global supply chain as well. Now, from the FMM MIER survey on the first half of 2020, 59% of our respondents said that they will adopt automation, while 41% will go digital as soon as their strategy for business recovers. Now, this is a long way to go for manufacturing to be fully automated. The process of automation cannot be done overnight. It also involves high level of investment. Furthermore, not all business processes and operation can be automated or fully be automated. Now, in fact, in this regard, the industry will not see a sudden drop in the employment due to the automation effort. Now, most industry that are very much labor intensive and depend heavily on foreign workers are already taking steps to automate their process to over the problems faced by the frequent change in our foreign worker policy, which makes hiring of foreign worker a challenge at this time. With that, I would like to stop. Thank you, Prof. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dato'. So I believe that Dato', you are to all the participants, Dato', I can describe you as the TVET man on the ground. You agree?
Yes, I have grown from TVET since my good old days when I was trained in England.
Okay.
Yes. I have worked my route out from a typical TVET student, a student in HND, finally gained my professional recognition and able to be also participating in the engineering professional field. Thank you.
So based on your CV, I can describe you as a TVET on the ground, TVET man on the ground. So what I can pick up from your answer is basically we have the roadmap. FMM have the roadmap toward the graduation, to transform into industrial revolution, to embrace industrial revolution 4.0, and I think the willingness of the manufacturer, the members of FFN, to embrace the IR 4.0. So hopefully that this transformation will smoothly, and I believe with this COVID-19, it will speed up. The momentum will be faster in transforming into Industrial Revolution 4.0. Thank you, Dato'.
Thank you.
Now we move to the third panelist, our Honorable Professor Dr. Rupert Mclean. Are you there, Prof?
Yes, I am. I'm here. Yes.
How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Okay. Let me put the question to you. Okay, the question is that in the age of disruption, Industrial Revolution 4.0 is just one of the several current disruptors that will potentially have a profound impact on the TVET. In your opinion, is there any other disruptor, and what are the critical impact of those disruptors on TVET, especially in the context of content and modality of the TVET? Okay, Prof. Now the floor is for you.
Right. Well, first of all, thank you very much. Thank you to the organizers for inviting me to participate in this important conference, the World Conference on TVET 2020. And it's a great pleasure to be part of this important event. So thank you very much for involving me. The main point I want to make is that we are living not in an age of change, but an age of massive disruption. And we've always had societies changing over time, and we had the first industrial revolution that had a profound effect upon bringing about change in labor force requirements. But we are currently in a major age of disruption. Now, of course, the fourth industrial revolution has had an enormous effect on labor force requirements It's had an enormous effect upon the range of skills that people need in order to meet the requirements in their society. But there are many other areas of disruption currently. Of course, the fourth industrial revolution has implications for Industry 4.0, how industry has to change to meet the requirements of the fourth industrial revolution. We have globalization. We have an increasing emphasis on artificial intelligence. We have the profound effect of the internet. We have robotics. We have the enormous change in social media. And currently, of course, we have the COVID-19 global pandemic. Now, I'd like to suggest to you that all of these things operating together have profound implications for labour force requirements and profound implications for our different populations. And in fact, one of the problems with all of these major disruptions and people's ability to accommodate and change to meet the disruptions is that we have increasing inequality in our society. We have reductions in fairness and justice and equity. And the gap between rich countries and poor countries, and within countries, the gap between rich and poor is increasing. And we know, for example, through the COVID-19 global pandemic, that the richest sections of the community have got much, much richer. If you think of the big firms like Amazon and Microsoft and all the others, the owners of those companies have become very, very rich, despite the disruption. However, people have lost jobs, people have lost part-time work, they've lost their regular employment. So these disruptions have a major impact upon issues of inequality, equity, fairness, and justice. I'd also like to suggest that it has a profound effect upon what we should be doing in TVET. And I'd like to say that these changes during this age of disruption are so profound that we can't just modify TVET. We can't just make an adjustment here or an adjustment there. We have to look at the need to re-engineer TVET, to question the taken for granted assumptions on which TVET systems are based. We can't just make small adjustments. We have to rethink our whole TVET systems. And we have to look at what are the implications of the age of disruption on education and schooling. What about on learning societies? Because we're all committed to learning societies. And what about the impact of these disruptors on things like growth? We want to have greater inclusive growth. And what about green growth? What about the greening of economies? Surely this is extremely important for many, many countries. Now, in fact, I'm currently involved with an Asian Development Bank project, which has the title, Powering Learning Societies During an Age of Disruption. And this is because the ADB member states, particularly in Asia Pacific, are really concerned about the impact of these disruptors and are really concerned about the impact on the way in which we prepare people for employment. And they're really concerned not just with the economic implications, but the social implications. As I said earlier, issues like equity, fairness, justice. So the ADB have a book which they're going to be publishing next year, which brings together the best thinking on this particular topic. And it particularly examines COVID-19 and the impact that has on our economies and the impact it's had upon labour requirements and labour expectations. So that's what I'd mainly like to say at this stage. To summarise, we live in an age of disruption. It has profound implications for labour force requirements, and it does, I think, necessitate us to look at the re-engineering of TVET, not just the modification or adjustment of TVET. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Prof. I think it's wonderful, your answer. Basically, it is we are not catering for the changes, but it is how massive the disruption that you have mentioned, that we need to do rethinkings, and then we need to do the re-engineering, even back to the fundamentals of our need about the sharing of the equity, fairness, and justice throughout the whole world. I believe that the participants have agree with what we have said. So thank you very much for your thought on this question. Now we have to move the second round of our forum. So I have to go back to the first finalist, Professor Dr. Thomas Schroeder. Are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Yes.
Okay, I'll read the question for you. Now, Industrial Revolution 4.0 create new jobs and phases out some old jobs. It means that new skills are needed. In your opinion, shall we come out with a new skill standard to cater for Industrial Revolution 4.0 requirement, and the old skill standard shall be removed? Now it's up to you, Prof.
Yeah, another very good question. Thank you very much. I would like to say one or two words with respect to what my colleague, or my very appreciated colleague Rupert Mclean said, because we need. I think he's right. We need to rethink TVET, but maybe we need to have a look at different TVET systems as well, and how well they are prepared for continuous adaptation and development, and how well they are prepared for addressing the needs of the labor market on one hand side, and education needs with respect to lifelong learning and a learning society. I really like this concept of having a learning society on the other hand. So that's very important to have a look at this and to embed TVET system. TVET is not only catering for my perspective. Sorry.
Okay.
My perspective, TVET is not only catering for jobs and industries. It has different political functions. It is as well addressing social policy, so social equality. We need a TVET system which allows, which is meritocratic, which allows the best to proceed to the academic areas, which is important to have for a society, for any society, to have a certain percentage of people who have a skill set from TVET and from academia, and so on and so forth. So social peace basically lasts on a well-functioning TVET system, and of course we have other challenges which are migration, which are climate change, and all this needs to be respected as well. And TVET systems are challenged, and we will have new jobs eventually. But if a system is sound, and if it's based on research, and I know that you in Malaysia are conducting research with respect to your TVET system, you're very strong in that, in Southeast Asia, and you have MyRivet, for example. All this is going to the right into an excellent direction, and to have this attitude of developing and adapting and observing and to make decisions, and not only by those who are in charge for occupational standards, skills standards, occupational standards, but educational standards. This needs to be brought together. That would be one basis for the development of a TVET system. Things need to change gradually. So involve many stakeholders in a participative manner, if possible. Bring in industry, bring in others. Sorry?
In more sustainable manner. The change should be in a more sustainable manner.
Sorry, could you please repeat?
The changes should be more on a sustainable manner.
Yes, it's if you involve many stakeholders, then it will be more sustainable. That's what I'm convinced of. And sustainability basically means that that different perspectives are addressed, that different challenges are being addressed, so things will change. You need standards need to be adapted. This needs to and have to react, and there will be new jobs, new professions, new occupations. But it's not from a German perspective. That's my perspective. That's the perspective I'm representing here. From a German perspective, it won't be disruptive. It will be gradually. We will have new branches with respect to IT, new companies with respect to data processing and data analytics. This is happening here. Not always. We need to have a political decision on how do we protect how do we protect data. At the same time, we want to work with data. How do we ensure that social inequality, which is sometimes enhanced by social media, how can we ensure that the individuals are protected, and that we, in the end, have a socially balanced economy and society more than anything, because that's what in the end you want. If you let me look at, if you look into the second industrial revolution, if you look into the idea which Henry Ford had, basically the idea was to ensure that his workers would be able to participate in his economic progress, in his economic success, and would be able to buy a car themselves. So we need to readjust again on a high level the idea of having a balanced society, and TVET will play an immense role with respect to this.
Okay, thank you, Prof, for your answer. So basically, what I can pick up from your answer is more on, yeah, we need to change the requirement accordingly to the needs of Industrial Revolution 4.0. But at the same time, we have to look on the reactive and proactive aspect for the changes in terms of the sustainability of the in future of our mankind, looking on the climate change, everything what happening now and expecting for another years to come. Okay, thank you, bro. Now I have to move to the second panelist, Dato.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, Dato. I read you the question. As far as Malaysian labor market is concerned, what types of workers are lacking in the labor market in Malaysia within the Industrial Revolution 4.0? And what can we do to solve the problem of worker shortage? Now,
thank you very much for the very relevant question at this moment of time. Ladies and gentlemen, as long as our government promotes foreign investment or even domestic investment, especially on the high-tech and value-added industry, all right, employment in the manufacturing sector will continue to grow, all right? This is based on our studies, right? Now, moving forward with automation and Industry 4.0, we definitely require new skill sets, and this will be very critical for the country to continue to be able to expand and improve our supply of technically skilled workers. As the technical manpower, this technical manpower will contribute to the manufacturing sector, adopting or adapting and maintaining our new and higher technology for our, what I mentioned already, value-added production. Now, firstly, to catch up with this advancement of technology and competitiveness in the growing region, we may have to really revisit urgently the promotion of STEM, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, and the teaching of this subject in English is because the information are very wide in those language that we understood, right? Now in our into our education system. Besides the teaching of the other subjects and the use of also our Bahasa Malaysia. Now, while we emphasize to adopt new technologies and processes, the key success is still our human capital. All right. Today, our youngsters are very impatient. All right. They have no time to complete a 3 or 4 year degree course. So we thus have TVET that are academic and TVET that are for skill based. All right. Now, Malaysia needs to transform our tertiary and technical and vocational education, TVET, as mentioned, to equip our workforce with the relevant skills and our competencies. Now, as you know, in TVET skills, we are not short of all the notch under JPK, under Pembangunan Kemahiran Malaysia's National Skill Development Corporation, where we have not less than 3,000 over national occupational skill standards. Okay, maybe this time we need to tweak it for competency as well as for certain for the pedagogy, the training of it, right? In particularly the TVET Empowerment Cabinet Committee, which was formed in August 2019, led the technical committee is actually led by the private sector, led by the president of FMM as the chair. We have formulated new national strategies relevant to the industry need. Right, what have been recommended by this committee was industry-driven professional TVET practitioner needs to have the must have the right employable skill to increase the country's skill workforce by 25 to 35%. Right, then the vision of TVET that Malaysia need to achieve on the skilled workforce by the year 2030 under as part of the Shared Prosperity 2030 National Agenda. Now, in the TVET transformation program, strong industry collaboration is crucial to drive the demand-driven TVET. The ecosystem especially require this, especially with the place and train strategy. Now, stronger collaboration is needed in all the sectors, fostering the partnership, the mutual learning, the exchange of experience, of the expertise and the resources, together with the business industry, TVET institution, and the government. Now, important qualification on the skill that need to be to have for Industry 4.0 is very much on the knowledge about ICT. The basic information technology knowledge is required so that we have the ability to use and interact with computers, smart machines like robots, and using of tablets. Understanding of machine-to-machine communication, language is important. Understanding of IT security and data protection, the ability to work with data, the ability to process and analyze data, and also information obtained from the machine, understanding the visual data output and making decisions, and also the basic statistical knowledge that we need to analyze. Now, the other one will be the technical know-how, the interdisciplinary and the generic knowledge about technology. Then specializing knowledge about manufacturing activity and the process must also be in place. The technical know-how of machine and how to maintain the related maintenance of the machine and its related activities are also very important. Now, skilled laborers will have the opportunity to take part in greater task variety, will no longer be associated to one particular skill job. All right, they will have significant reduction in the being monotonous and also on their job, and also the job will be ergonomically more challenging. The employee will have to share the space between the intelligent robot, that means man and robot working together, very much promoting Industry 5.0 now, all right, whether it will come or not. So the assistant on this system will support the work, and the final decision will still be managed and made by the skilled employees. So teamwork is also very central. We need to have a horizontal and vertical level all integrated in the actual workplace, right? So information and data, all that an employee will have to process with a day-to-day job. So as mentioned, artificial intelligence, collaboration between human and machine, the interaction are not limited to just pressing button, but also use our voice and gesture. All right, so workers will use devices like smartphone, tablet, communication with the machine operation. Right, new jobs will be required by the employee to be part of planning. Now, today, students, right, will be having training, for example, under this MCO period, COVID. How do they train on skill? If we have programs on augmented reality, as you know, most youngsters these days, they like to play games, right? In fact, if they could be practicing welding using augmented reality, or repairing an aeroplane, or repairing a machine tool, or setting up a factory, augmented reality should be introduced to make their job training also relevant. They can do it 24/7 at their leisure. With that, thank you very much, Professor.
Okay, thank you, Dato'. I believe that the Malaysian needs to strengthen the STEMs among the students, and as we can see that the Malaysians are, you know, I think it's the world phenomenon now. The students, they are running away from the STEM on the science stream. So I think this is the high time for the country to relook into our education system, to stimulate back the science and the technical stream, to ensure that we have a sustainable worker in the area of the science and technical. Okay, with that, I think we move to the third panelist, our Honorable Professor Dr. Rupert Mclean. Now, this is your question. Can you share with us a success story of a learning institution that has successfully re-engineering the TVET to deal with the disruptor, or any example related to the re-engineering of TVET? To you, sir.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I actually will refer to an example, and it comes from a different part of the world. It comes from the Middle East, and it comes from a country called Qatar. As you know, it's a Muslim country, and it's actually the richest country in the world. In terms of the per capita income of nationals living in Qatar, it's the richest country in the world. Now, that country is looking at the re-engineering of its education system. And I want to give you an example. I was asked when I was working in Qatar, and I was there for three years, I was asked to meet with the minister and look what could be done to make the education system in Qatar more responsible and more responsive to labour force requirements, and how to better cater for preparing young people and adults to have 21st century skills for work and for life. This is part of the re-engineering process, and to cope with the disruptors that I spoke about earlier. Now, one of the things that was stressed there, and it's now being implemented, because when I was there, I worked with the education minister on developing a plan. And some people may find this a bit unusual, but that is, they decided to engage in the vocationalization of education and schooling. And that is not just to have, say, secondary schools where people mainly study academic subjects, and technical colleges where they mainly study technical subjects, or at the university level to have academic education in universities and then technology education in TVET institutions. They looked at across the board having the vocationalization of education to make sure that everyone who studies, whether they're in the academic area or whether they're studying vocational subjects, that they look at the link between what they're learning and the world of work. This is what they mean by vocationalization. They don't mean the teaching of vocational subjects, but whichever subject is being taught, you look at links to the world of work. You look at links to getting people to think about the implications of their knowledge and skills to the world of work. The second thing is, and earlier speakers spoke about STEM subjects. And STEM, as we know in many countries now, is very, very important, maybe as part of the re-engineering process. But what they're doing in Qatar is they talk about STEM plus. STEM plus. And what does that mean? We don't want people just to learn technical skills and so on. We want them to have strong moral foundations. We want to have them have ethics. We want them to have a concern for their fellow human beings. We want them to be aware of the implications of their behavior within the society. And I mentioned earlier about issues of justice, fairness, equity, and so on. So STEM there isn't just science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. It's STEM plus. And plus means the humanities, the social sciences, the ethical aspects of our behavior, not just becoming technocrats, not just thinking of science, technology, engineering, and mathematics as being what underpins our knowledge base and which drives us in terms of curriculum reform, but always including the ethical, the moral, the humanistic aspects of what we are doing. So if you are a motor mechanic, or if you are working in the industry to do with technologies and artificial intelligence and robotics, you don't just think about the science, the technology, and the engineering of what you're doing. You also consider the social implications, the ethical implications, the moral implications. So that's the example I give of Qatar.
Thank you, Rob. I think it's wonderful. STEM plus, yeah, this is good. I think concurrently with the what we have mentioned earlier in the first round of the in the question, the first round of the question about rethinking and re-engineering the TVET. I think this is one of the way that we have to look. It is not only the STEM, but we have to STEM plus, looking on the moral, looking on the morals, on the socials. This is the thing that I think the participant will take up this good point. Now, thank you to all the panelists, and I will take a few questions from the participants. I'll read the question from the participant. Okay. First, the participant, they would like to ask, okay, from you, Prof, to Professor Dr. Rupert and the other panelists, what would be a good sustainable model for developing country and economy? Can you have some ideas on these questions? To you?
Will I say something? Thomas, you're going to say something?
Yeah.
You go ahead, Thomas.
After you, Rupert, after you.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think if we're going to look at a sustainable model, we have to look at a model that involves partnerships.
Okay.
These areas are too important just to be left to government. It has to involve business. It has to involve NGOs. It has to involve civil society.
I see.
You need to get everyone on board so they're pulling in the same direction. And if they have differences of opinion, they try and resolve those. So partnerships. The next is we mustn't divide work from life. When we talk about skills development for employability, it should be skills development for employability and life. And therefore bring these together. Don't have artificial divisions in terms of knowledge, understandings, skills. And the other is it has to take account of the major issues of the day. And one is the greening of economies, green jobs, green growth. And the other is inclusive growth. So all sections of the community benefit. Only if you do those things will the models be sustainable. Because you've got to have most people supporting what you're doing.
Yes.
And if you have discontent and you feel this lack of justice and fairness, well, then this is not going to bring everyone with you.
Yeah, yeah. I think you make your point. It's on the holistic approach. Yeah. Okay. Maybe Prof. Schroeder, you have anything to say?
Yes. I would like to refer to what Dr. Andisio said earlier. Two things. First, yes, Rupert said the same thing just now, Professor Rupert Mclean. It's important to involve industry in a TVET system. Industry needs to adapt very soon newest technologies. It has to adapt. It can adapt faster than the education system. So that's one point. I think with respect to Germany, the education system, it really depends on the system, on the teachers, on the principal, how much they are up to date with respect to newest technology. But then there's a question of funding. So they will always be lagging a little behind the spearhead of industry. And industry, of course, has companies which are very advanced and companies which are lagging behind. So they are not always moving the same pace. Secondly, if you want people to be prepared for new technologies which come along with industry, this fourth industrial revolution, you need more than anything. You need independently, responsibly acting skilled laborers who are taken in account the need of what needs to be done at the job level, societal level, and private levels. This will involve as well acting environmentally sound and work safety, etc. You know all this, but if you want people who are active, who are acting responsibly on their own, we all need to rethink the didactical approach which we are using. So how do we teach them? How do we ensure that they have the chance to develop the competencies which we want them to have? How do we address what is called 21st century skills? How do we address innovation, creativity, team capability, and problem solving, and so on and so forth? That's what you need. And we need to rethink how we can change the entire system in a sensible manner, the educational system into being more project-based and project-based. This needs to be set up in a manner that planning and reflection will be involved or will be part of the entire learning process as well, which will lead basically into the direction of lifelong learning, and which will lay the basis for people being active in what they are doing. Of course, they need degrees of freedoms. That's something which is addressing as well the kind of work organization. Thirdly, one more point. We need to address more the workplace, especially under the premises of digitization. Workplaces increasingly are valuable learning venues. We are focusing on the formal TVET system as being the learning venue, but workplaces can be extremely valuable learning venues. There's a lot of research has been conducted with respect to effectiveness of competence development in a specific workplace, in specific work organizations, and embedded in work processes. That's important. So what we need basically is we need curricula which are work related. They are work based with respect to the workplace. They are work oriented, simulating work processes with respect to the formal TVET system. But in the end, what we really need is we need to identify new work tasks in order to be able to involve them in all different kinds of training and education TVET activities at different learning venues. This will address as well the recognition of prior learning experience, which is important under the premises of of digitization. Many learning processes are informal at the workplace. So how do we ensure that those informally acquired competences are made visible and acknowledged to formal degrees and certification?
Okay, thank you, Rob. I think I have one question from for you, Dato. Dato,
Yes, I'm here. Yeah,
one
yeah.
question for you. The government have done many things to deal with industrial revolution from 4.0. In your opinion, what else can the government do, or maybe what aspect need to be improved, such as the policy, incentive, plan, and so on?
Thank you very much again, Professor. This is also a very relevant question in view of our recent budget 2021 that the government has put in to drive this economy, right, under this new normal. Now, given the numerous challenges faced by our manufacturer, all right, the government will also provide more support, all right. The support will be very much towards technology adoption, right? Government is encouraging more SME, more industry, local industry to adopt technology, right? So how to continue? They will have to continue through the program of Industry Forward for the Industry 4.0 adoption, right? Now, under the budget 2021, under education itself, government has emphasized 50.4 billion put aside, out of which 6 billion have been allocated for TVET alone, 1 billion for upskill, ringgit, I'm talking about ringgit Malaysia, and reskill of 200,000 trainees. So these are trainees that may have to reskill to be suitable for this industry through TVET or whatever program. And then another 400 million allocated for R&D efforts under the various ministry. So even companies need to do a bit of research to see whether their products that they produce is market relevance. The technology they have on their product is also market relevance or not. So they need to do a technology market radar on this area to see and map where they are, right? Under the SME program, in the budget 2021, we have 230 million allocated to finance our SME to upgrade into automation system and to buy equipments to comply with our COVID-19 procedures under SOP. Then we have also 100 million allocated to HRDF for training in collaboration with private sector, the one that I talked earlier, place and train, right? So these are all available. These are already, industry, especially the SME, need to find out how to get this support to grow, right? So the important thing is that we need to promote local companies to manufacture also our own industrial automation and also our own industrial robots through tax incentive. Maybe we need to have pioneer status to have this industry. University can work to do this style of research, right? And then roll out affordable and good quality broadband access. Now, having Industry 4.0 automation is good, but we still need to strengthen our 5G infrastructure, all right? Especially, as you can see, sometimes we break off during our virtual conference and all that. So, all right, so and then to establish our next generation training center as well, focusing on big data, how to analyze big data analytics centers, provide solution, promote manufacturing research collaboration with university and the industry. Now, also the last part is R&D. We need R&D funds, all right, to do with industry, which can be an automatic tax deduction, allocate some money, which I think there's already for future manufacturing fund, all right. Now the R&D vouchers also to help SME to go into, to take up this investment in technology. Now, importantly, the government need to continue this initiative and promote this Industry 4.0 ecosystem, expediting the infrastructure and also developing our Industry 4.0. Now, I do not need to go through the pillars of Industry 4.0. I'm sure the university has already got in there, right? But in order to embrace digitization and digitalization successfully, government needs to create an inclusive ecosystem for us, where all stakeholders, government, industry, training institute, solution provider, and research center must work together in synergy and not in silos, right, in order to benefit all these budgets that we have created. Thank you very much, Prof.
Okay, thank you, Dato. I believe that there's a common between all the panelists that we have to work in a very inclusive, where we have to integrate and try to solve the problem in a more holistic manner. So now, since our time is running, so maybe we do wrap up, give a summary. We give all the panel 1 or 2 minutes each, can summarize your all your thoughts in to this forum. Okay, well, we will start with with you, Dato.
For now, having said all this, right, I think human capital is very important, and we need to add value to our local. This country cannot rely on foreign workers. Foreign workers policy will change either with the host country or with our country. But nevertheless, value added should be given to our Malaysian. Our Malaysian should be given the opportunity to operate the state-of-art machine tools and the machinery, and also be given the opportunity to move up the value chain even in the international market. So training, setting them right in the right direction by the country is very important through our education system. I would suggest that we may have to revisit, as I mentioned, some of the programs. I agree that soft skill is very important. Besides technically good, you have a good skill, but you have a bad attitude, you also cannot work in a team. So, right, train on skill and attitude together. Thank you very much, Prof. Hello.
Hello.
Yeah.
Okay.
I finished. Yeah.
Okay. Rupert, you can you summarize?
You'd like me to summarize?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, my major point is that we are going through a period of major change, which has great implications for our economies and our societies. And this isn't just to do with things like technology, artificial intelligence, robotics, the fourth industrial revolution, but also other things like the current COVID-19 global health pandemic, which has had a profound effect on our economies and on our societies. So I think we have to adopt a holistic approach to try and address these sorts of disruptions, these sorts of changes. I agree with Thomas that we have to have a methodical approach. We have to try and bring about change in a reliable way, not a disruptive way. And we have to look at things like preparing people, skills development for employability, but also for life. And we also, as we try to re-engineer our system of TVET to try and accommodate the sorts of disruptions, we have to keep our eyes on key issues like fairness, justice, and equity in our societies. We have to think of the moral imperatives. We have to think about the ethical imperatives. We have to think about issues like green growth, the greening of economies, green jobs, inclusive growth. So we must not divorce the economic and the labor force issues from the social issues and the environmental issues. So we must adopt a holistic approach. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Now we move to Professor Dr. Thomas Schroeder. You can summarize?
Yes. It's difficult because so much has been said already. I don't want to repeat it. Let me say, okay, this is not maybe. This is maybe in my lifetime, my very short lifetime, with respect to TVET, which is my area of expertise. That's the second time now that I experience a change, which is very, which is challenging, a challenging change. But what what Rupert said, we have more challenges. We have more challenges to cope with. We mustn't forget this, and TVET has to address this, from my understanding. Environmental issues are of course in the interest of companies as well. Companies in Germany understood that they save a lot of money many 30, 40 years ago if they act environmentally sound. And politics have to react on all the different challenges and bring this together. And since the majority of each society is undergoing a TVET program in one way or the other, TVET system needs to address these issues. But what I want to say is, I want to encourage you to develop a positive attitude and to see the positive perspective every change has. And it's up to you. It's up to every one of us, as all of us, to shape a better society and to shape a better future, or at least to lay the basis for a better future of our children and grandchildren. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Prof. Okay. Thank you to all the panelists for your excellent contribution, input to all of us, the participants. I believe that all the participants are happy with the input given by all the honorable panelists. And with that, I have to end up the session, and then I have to pass it to Dr. Yusmawati, the MC. Okay, to you, Dr. Yusmawati.
Okay, Prof. All right, we have come to the end of our forum session, and just to let our panelists know, we have more than 250 participants for this forum from both the Zoom platform as well as UTHM TV channel. So very great participation. Thank you to all the participants. And then I would like to thank the moderator and all panelists for their sharing and fruitful discussion. Very, very interesting. Thank you, Prof. Schroeder, Dr. IR Andisio, Prof. Maclin, and to our moderator. Thank you, Prof. Ismail. Thank you very much.
Can we have a photo session? Can we have a photo session first?
Well, for dear participant, before you leave, I would like to thank you for your time and support in attending this WoCTVET 2020. So please share with us your opinion on your participation and experience.
And can we have a photo session?
Oh, yes. All right. Okay. Yes. Okay, let me explain a little bit after this. We do have to go to our photo session first. Okay. Stop pin the dot, Prof. We need to have a few screen.
Okay, can you count? First page.
Count. Okay, count. 1, 1, 2, and 3. Another one. We are okay. Photo session. 1, 2, and 3. Okay.
All right.
Another one. Okay, another one. The organizer say another one. Okay, be ready. I'll count 3, 1, 2, and 3. Okay, thank you. Okay, the organizer insists. Another one. Okay. Okay. I count 1, 2, and 3. Okay, thank you. Okay,
Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you. We'll see you again.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you for inviting.
Bye.
Thank you, MC. I'm leaving now. Thank you.
Dato, thank you very much for your time and cooperation.
Thank you very much
Bye.
as well. I'm
Bye.
also going to
Thank
leave
you,
at this
Prof.
stage.
Yeah.
Have a good evening, everybody.
Thank you very much. Thank you all.
Okay.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.
Everyone.
Bye.
Thank you very much from my side too, and lots of success. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, Prof. All right, see you all.
Bye-bye all.
Okay. So the participant, if those who just joined us, if you want to get an e-certificate, so you can just click the registration link, and then you need to pay around RM39 ringgit or USD 10 USD dollar. So those who just joined us, if you wish to get the certificate, so you can register through the link and pay around 39 ringgit, so you will get the e-certificate. And please give your feedback in the link that have been shared in the chatting box. Please help us to improve our conference. And also the paper will be expected to publish in 2021. And all the certificate for participants and presenter will be emailed within 7 working days after this conference. Well, okay, I'll finish this session. I thank you all for your attention and cooperation. So you can continue to view the parallel session. Until then, see you again and have a very good evening. Thank you. Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam.
Yes, just to remind again to those who just joined, if you wish to have a certificate, so you can register and pay the little amount of money. All right, thank you all, thank you.
Thank you,
Evening.
Doctor.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you.
everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Nice meeting you all.
Yeah.
See you all.
Thank you,
Thank you very
everyone.
much.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you and success.
Thank you, Puan Jusma.
Terima
2020.
kasih.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Bye.
Bye. See you.
Thank you everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Dah, aku nak tutup ni leave
Leave, yes. Leave.
Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam.
Waalaikumsalam.
Terima kasih semua.
Terima kasih.
Bye-bye, Dr. Yusma. Thank you.
Bye, Tokyo. What time Tokyo now?
1 hour advance.
Oh, advance about pukul 5.
Yeah, 5 cukup.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Oh, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Yusma.
Thank you.
It's about 1 o'clock in Pakistan.
Oh, all right.
And
1 o'clock in the morning or afternoon?
Assalamu alaikum to all. I enjoyed this.
Alhamdulillah.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
This is afternoon and 45 after Fajr prayer. And then it's the afternoon.
Oh, okay.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay,
Bye.
Assalamualaikum. Dafiz.
Walaikum assalam.
Dafiz.
Dafiz.